The vacancy tax being discussed in Portland generally refers to a proposed tax on empty residential units or underused commercial properties, especially office buildings, with the goal of pushing owners to put those spaces back into use. The idea sounds simple. If a property sits vacant for too long, the owner pays a penalty in the form of a tax, but the reasoning behind it is more complex. Portland, like many cities, has faced two major issues at the same time: a housing shortage and a high level of empty space, particularly downtown office buildings after the shift to remote work. That combination has led policymakers to ask, why do we have unused space while people struggle to find housing or affordable commercial space? A vacancy tax is meant to address that. For residential properties, the goal is to discourage investors or owners from keeping housing units empty, whether for speculation, second homes, or other reasons, and instead encourage renting or selling those units to people who will actually live in them. For commercial properties, especially office buildings, the goal is a little different. Cities like Portland are trying to revitalize downtown areas that have lost foot traffic. A vacancy tax could push property owners to lower rents, repurpose buildings, or convert offices into housing rather than leaving them empty while waiting for the market to recover. Now, supporters argue that this creates movement. They believe it discourages holding out for high rents or prices, while space sits unused and instead encourages more realistic pricing and faster reuse of properties. In theory, that could increase housing supply, reduce blight, and bring more activity back to struggling areas. But critics raise several concerns. First, they argue that vacancy is often not intentional. A building may be empty because demand has dropped, conversion costs are extremely high, or regulations make redevelopment difficult. In those cases, a tax doesn't fix the problem. It just adds financial pressure. Second, there's concern about unintended consequences. Property owners might pass costs on to tenants, avoid investing in certain markets, or choose to sell or exit the city altogether. That could reduce long-term investment rather than increase it. Third, measuring vacancy isn't always straightforward. How long does a unit need to be empty to qualify? What about renovations, seasonal use, or properties in transition? Those details matter a lot in how the policy actually works. As of now, Portland has explored versions of this idea, but like many cities, the exact structure, scope, and implementation details are still being debated and refined. In simple terms, a vacancy tax is an attempt to push unused housing or commercial space back into the market by making it costly to leave it empty. But whether it works depends heavily on how it's designed and what's actually causing the vacancy in the first place.